Did you ever watch the documentary Icarus?
I didn't, but I meant to.
It's a crazy
I hear
documentary.
that.
It's insane, but it's a big part of it is about the doping that went on during the Sochi Olympics, which was all completely state-sponsored, where they swapped out. They literally put performance-enhancing drugs in all of their athletes, every single one of them. They were the ultimate goal was to achieve the highest level of performance in the Sochi Olympics to elevate Russia and to show Russian superiority. And they managed to do this through this Gregory Rodchenkov guy. And he, just by total happenstance, runs into this guy who produces this documentary, who's a cyclist. And he decides that Brian Fogel, he wants to do this race completely clean, and then he's going to go to Gregory and tell him like what his goals are, what he wants to do. And this guy's supposed to be the head of the anti-doping agency in Russia, but really it's bullshit. He's the doper.
The doper, yeah.
And so he tells him exactly what to do and how to do it and how to cycle off. And during that time, then it gets revealed while they're in the middle of filming the documentary. Brian, who's a brilliant documentarian, brilliant filmmaker, just steps in shit, just totally gets lucky. Wow. And finds himself in this situation where Gregory and the Soviet Union, or excuse me, Russia, is getting exposed for doping, and he has to flee the country because he's a part of it. So he comes to America and just completely spills the beans, tells them exactly how they did it, what they did, and now to this day he's in witness protection, and they're hiding him, and there's assassination attempts on him. He's completely fucked, and they've taken his family and taken all their money and pulled them out of their homes, and it's a wild, chaotic thing. But it shows what kind of commitment they have to this idea of Russian exceptionalism and Russian conquering in sport.
And how far they'll take it
Yes.
if you reveal and if you go against them. And look, I was in a car the other day when I landed here yesterday from Savannah, and the guy we were just talking about Austin, we were talking about Texas, and he was just, the guy was from El Salvador, and he was just like, just like people in this country just don't appreciate anything. They just have no idea. It's the greatest country on earth, and like they just have no idea. And that really also was and is my big takeaway for spending time over there. Just how unbelievably lucky we are here. And I know, we started the conversation from out there about just how fucked up everything is, and of course it is. But like, look, man, I'm like a guy who fucking puts on makeup and says lines for a living, and I can come on here, the biggest platform in the world, and we can talk about it.
Right.
The biggest threat, to me is that like I'm going to lose an acting role. You know what I mean?
Right,
it's like,
right.
That's a real thing, man. And I just think, this country is just, I just think so many people in this country have no idea how good they have it and how great, to me, it's the best country on earth.
It certainly is, and it's just we don't have a reference. If you're here your entire life and this is how you view things, and you're like, well, this place is fucked up.
That's right.
And it certainly is. It certainly, we're human. Humans, we're filled with all sorts of flaws. And this culture and the way our civilization is run is filled with all sorts of flaws. But it's the best example we have for a free society.
That's right.
Currently on Earth. Which is hard for people to believe, especially people that look at all the inequality and look at all the chaos and look at all the things that are wrong with this country. And there's certainly a lot. It's still the best place.
Agreed.
Because it's the best place to communicate. It's the best place to openly communicate. That's why things like what we were talking about, like with FBI being embedded in Twitter, trying to suppress certain narratives, it's so dangerous because that's what leads you to communist China. That's what when the state has total control over the narrative, and then the people that are involved in financing all that and profiting from all that are the ones that put these people in power and then control how the masses behave and think and communicate. It's leading us down this slippery road, and that's what scares the shit out of people, and I think rightly so.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think we also at the same time, I think we need to be vigilant. We need to, we need to be educated. We need to look into these things, and I think we also need to not jump to conclusions. And I think we need to be very cognizant about, you know, who we're listening to, and you know, honestly, you know, it's platforms like yours. It's finding people that we trust, that we just know, okay, look, this guy at least is telling his truth. There's no agenda behind it. They're not trying to convince you of anything. It's so unbelievably vital to hang on to that, and to know that people do have their hands in this information.
Yeah, do they have any kind of podcast like this in Russia? I mean, is that even possible to do?
I don't think so, man. I mean, again, like, I'm not, you know,
right.
I remember when I was there, you know, there was the Moscow Times, and you know, there was the Exile. You know, you've had, right on, man. Yeah, you know, it was there was this explosion of free press and really like gonzo journalism over there, you know, and but I don't know, to be honest with you, man, when I was there, I was a little bit sickened by the expat community. You know, there was a real sort of like hedonistic, I mean, look, I think probably a lot of it was me being kind of self-important, and I was on this kind of like acting pilgrimage, and I took myself super seriously. But, you know, there's a lot of people that were going over there to, you know, be with as many Russian women as they could, and there's a lot of people going over there to sort of, I felt pretty that they were exploiting, and you know, there was very distinct different Moscows when I was there. You know, there was the Western version of Moscow, which was just, you know, totally different, and then there was, you know, for me, what I think was so lucky is that I was going to school with Russians, you know, with people, you know, you'd have kids who would bring their entire families down from the mountains, from the Caucasus. You'd have like 9 people in a little apartment, and the whole family would be like cooking on a hot pot because this one kid had this opportunity to go to school there. And it was this like level of support and encouragement, and, you know, the relationships that I formed, you know, with these people. We grew up so wildly differently. The connections were so beautiful, and you know, you had you know, yeah, I just I don't know. I was really lucky that I got to be in Russia and in Moscow that way, and that's not an easy thing, and I'm worried about whether that's even possible now.